We're giving your daughter's college fund to your nephew. He actually has potential," Mom said. My daughter was right there. I replied calmly, "Okay." That night, I showed her the second account they didn't know about, $340,000. "Pack your bags, honey. We're moving." When they found the empty account next day. Mom stood up at the picnic table with a paper plate in her hand like it was a microphone. It was my nephew Tyler's cousin's day cookout in my parents' backyard. Balloons, a folding table loaded with cupcakes, and every grandkid's name on a banner in glitter letters. Maya's name was smaller, tucked in the corner. I noticed it and told myself not to. "Quick announcement," Mom said, voice bright. "We decided something important for the kids." Everyone quieted. Maya, 12, sat next to me with barbecue sauce on her chin and a folded napkin in her lap. She had drawn a lemon tree on a card for my dad and taped it to the cooler. He hadn't looked at it yet. Mom smiled at Tyler first. He's 16 and tall in a varsity hoodie. "We're moving Elle's daughter's college fund to Tyler's 529, she said, like she was announcing the raffle winner. "He actually has potential for scholarships and athletics money, and it'll go further for him. Maya loves art. She won't need as much." I didn't understand the words at first. My brain felt a half-second behind. I watched Maya's fingers go tight around the napkin. She looked at my lap like she wanted to disappear into it. Someone clapped. My sister reflexed, then stopped, eyes darting between me and Mom. I didn't stand up. I didn't say anything. My hands were shaking under the table. My throat felt too small to swallow air. Dad coughed. "It's for the good of the family," he added, glancing at Tyler's dad. "We all have to be practical." Maya whispered, "Did I do something?" So soft I almost didn't hear it. "No," I said. I kept my voice steady. "You didn't." Mom spread her hands. "We're being fair. It's still the family's education pot. We'll still support Maya's hobbies." Hobbies. Not her school, not her future. I felt something hot crawl up the back of my neck. Tyler's mom said, "Tyler made varsity as a sophomore. He's getting looks." She nudged him. He stared at his phone. Aunt Lonnie's face had gone still. She looked at me like she wanted to speak and was holding it back with her teeth. I blinked a few times like maybe this was a trick with the light. My daughter was right there. My mother was cutting her future up on a plastic table next to a bowl of potato salad. I thought of the times I had stayed late at work to tuck extra money aside, the late night shifts, the envelopes I slid under Mom's ceramic rooster to cover little things. "Okay," I said very quietly. "Okay." Maya didn't cry. She folded the napkin into a perfect square and set it on her plate. The lemon tree card fell off the cooler, face down in the grass. No one moved to pick it up. I picked up my purse. "We're going to head out after cake," I told Mom. My voice sounded strange to me, calm, like it was moving through syrup. Mom beamed. "You're not mad, are you? We talked about this for weeks." No, we didn't. She had made comments, hints, nothing this naked. I nodded and reached for Maya's hand under the table. It was cold. I held it like it anchored me to my chair. They cut the cake. Someone passed me a corner piece with extra frosting. I couldn't taste it. I watched my daughter's eyes, already learning how to make herself small, so the grown-ups felt comfortable. I should have known. I ignored the signs. I thought they'd change. "I'm Dorothy. I'm 38, Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a clinical pharmacist at a hospital downtown. Divorced, 1 kid, Maya, 12, quiet and stubborn in the best way. I grew up in Mesa, the oldest of 3. My parents still live in the beige house with the orange trees out front. The yard always smells like warm citrus and dust. 5 years ago, after my ex and I split, Maya and I moved back into that beige house for a few months. It turned into years. Money wasn't the problem by then. Stability was. We took the spare room with the low ceiling and the twin bed. I brought my white bookshelf and the lemon print curtains Maya picked at Target. I told myself it was good to have help. I told myself family was family. I paid rent even when they said I didn't have to. At first, it was $500 a month. Then Mom showed me the electric bill, 1 July, $412, and I just started covering it every month. I put the internet and water on autopay with my card. When the AC died, I wrote a check for $2,800 to the guy who came that same day, because Dad said he didn't do financing. When the roof needed patching, I hired Mendez Roofing and paid $8,500 out of my home sale money because storms were coming and Dad was waiting for his buddy. When Tyler's travel baseball dues were due, $600 here, $300 there was always a text from my sister. "Can you spot us? We'll pay you back." They never did. I stopped expecting it. Mom and I opened a joint account at Desert Sun Credit Union called Family Savings. I'm looking at the first deposit in my head. March 7th, $1,200. I set it up for every first Friday in case of emergencies. Mom said it became the account for everything. Their car insurance, Dad's tires, the plumber, Thanksgiving groceries, the deposit for the beach rental last summer that we all enjoyed, but I paid for on my card. I sent the money, I kept the receipts. I told myself this was my way of being useful. When Maya was born, my parents opened a 529 in her name. Mom insisted it made more sense in her hands because she understood these things and wanted to be involved. It made everyone feel good to say Maya's college fund at Christmas. They loved the optics. Little envelopes marked for Maya's future slipped into a glass jar on the mantel. I added to it too. Not the big stuff at first, small checks. We all got busy. Then life happened. After the divorce, Mom started calling it the education pot for the grandkids, like it had always been that. I blinked and let it slide. Meanwhile, Maya faded in that house in 100 small ways. On the grandkids' wall, my parents hung one of those black collage frames. Tyler and the younger cousins had their school pictures up, teeth in various stages, baseball jerseys, and dance costumes. Maya's second-grade photo was up for a while. Then it wasn't in its place. Tyler's tournament photo with a trophy was there instead. We're waiting for a new one, Mom said, reaching for a dust rag. I brought a new one in a yellow frame a week later. It sat on the TV stand for months, leaning against a remote. On Cousin's Day outings, they texted the group chat while I was at work. We're taking the kids to the aquarium. Twice, I came home to find damp towels and brochures on the counter. Oh, we thought you were working, Mom said. It would have been hard with your schedule. Maya's shoes were by the door, dry and waiting. Last Christmas, my sister brought matching hoodies for all the grandkids with cousins on the front. There were 5. 6 grandkids in the picture. No hoodie for Maya. They didn't have her size, my sister said, not looking at me. Maya went to her room. She came back in her Navy school sweatshirt and smiled like it didn't sting. I kept writing checks. I bought a new sofa for the living room because the old one sagged. $799 on my card. Mom called it ours. She turned the cushions when we had company and said, "Look how well we take care of things." I'm good with money. I have to be. Early on, I took the night shifts that paid a little extra, and I kept a spreadsheet. When I sold the condo my ex and I had in Tempe, after the court and the split and the fees, I walked with $192,000. I put most of it in savings and into a Vanguard 529, with me as the owner and Maya as the beneficiary. I didn't tell my parents about that one. I told my boss because I needed someone to reality check me. He said, "You're smart. Keep it separate." I nicknamed it Lemon Tree in my head. I added to it every time I got a bonus or picked up an extra shift. $200 here, $500 there. It added up slowly, quietly. Mine, hers, untouched. Every time I hesitated about the family account or a bill, there was a comment. "We do so much for you," Mom would say, wiping down the same spotless counter. "We're a team." If I asked about Maya being left out, Dad went silent and clicked the TV louder. If I said, "Please add Maya," my sister said, "Don't be dramatic." It was easier to pick up a shift than to argue. It was easier to be useful than to be alone. So when Mom said, "We're giving Elle's daughter's college fund to Tyler," it wasn't about the money in that specific account. It was about the pattern. It was about a public message. Maya is optional. Tyler is legacy. My status in the house was a wallet with hands. It took me too long to name it. It took seeing the lemon tree card lying face down while my mother smiled like she had done something noble. We left after cake. I scraped frosting into a napkin and tossed it. Maya put her plate in the trash and picked up her lemon tree card from the grass. The corner was damp. She flattened it in her hands. No one called out after us. In the car, Maya stared out the window. The sun was low and orange. The air in the Honda smelled like sunscreen. I drove with both hands tight at 10 and 2. "You okay?" I asked. She said, "I don't need college," which was her way of asking if she should stop wanting it. I said, "You get to want whatever you want." I kept my voice level. "And I should have told you something a long time ago." We didn't go home. I turned into the parking lot of the library where we go on Thursdays. It was quiet, the kind of quiet that wraps you up. We went to a corner table. I opened my laptop. I logged into Vanguard. Maya leaned in. Her hair tickled my cheek. I clicked the Lemon Tree account. The number blinked on the screen. $340,712.44. Maya's mouth made a small O. She looked at me, then the screen, then me. Is that yours? I said, it's for your education. I set this one up in my name. I didn't tell Grandma and Grandpa. They don't control it. I do. She blinked fast. When did you do this? I said, a while ago. After we moved in, after some comments. I told myself I was being paranoid. Today I'm really glad I wasn't. She traced a lemon on the edge of her notebook she always carries. So they can't take it. I said, they can't take it. They can decide what they want to do with the one they own. This one is ours. She whispered, thank you. I closed the laptop. I looked at her. Her face was still for a second, like a calm lake, and then it shifted small, like she let herself breathe. What I wanted to say was, I'm sorry. What I said was, pack your bags when we get home. We're moving. She blinked. Where? Still in Phoenix, I said. The Sunny Slope Apartments, 2 bedrooms, 3rd floor. There's a long balcony and a good lock on the door and a pool that doesn't smell like a pond. Closer to my work, closer to your new school. The lease is ready. I was waiting for a sign. This was a sign, she said. It wasn't a question. I texted Aunt Lonnie in the car. We're okay. Please don't come by tonight. She responded immediately. I'm so sorry. That was wrong. Call me when you want. At home, we moved like people who had practiced. We hadn't. Maya rolled her socks and tucked her pencils in a pouch. I pulled the lemon print curtains down in 2 strips, folded them, and put them on top of a box marked bedroom. I left the white bookshelf. It had been Mom's anyway. I took the photo of Maya in the yellow frame from the TV stand and slipped it into my backpack. The house was loud with TV noise and then quiet. Mom and Dad had gone to sit on the patio with my sister and the cousins, laughing. The desert threw pink light through the kitchen window. On the counter, sitting under the ceramic rooster, was a bill for Dad's truck tires. I left it. I slept lightly, like a cat in a storm. At 6:30 a.m., Maya stood in the doorway with her backpack on. Ready, she said, her lemon tree card stuck out of the side pocket. I drove her to school. I kissed the top of her head before she got out. I'll pick you up from the new place, I said. Her eyes got bright. She nodded and ran in, ponytail bouncing. I drove straight from the middle school to Desert Sun Credit Union. The branch had a mural of a saguaro on the wall, and the air smelled like old carpet. A woman with a nameplate that said Rita smiled at me. How can I help you? I'd like to close a joint account and remove my funds, I said. The account is called Family Savings. My mother is the other owner. Rita tapped at her keyboard. We can close a joint account with one owner present. The funds will be dispersed to the named owners. Do you want a cashier's check or a transfer? Transfer to my checking, I said, ending in 5,412. She asked for my ID. I handed her my driver's license and my debit card. She looked at her screen for a long time. There is a scheduled transfer for next Friday, she said, eyebrows up. Do you want me to cancel that as part of the closure? Yes, I said. And there are several recurring debits. SRP Electric, Cox Internet, Maricopa Water, State Farm. Do you want to notify them? No, I said. The account will be closed. She clicked, hands soft on the keys. We'll need your signature on the closure and a second signature because of the balance. What's the balance? I asked, even though I knew I could see my spreadsheet in my head. As of this morning, $26,841. I signed. She printed 2 pages, stapled them, slid them to me with a blue pen. The air hummed with the printer. I kept my breathing even. The confirmation number is 77426, Rita said, drawing a little circle around it on my copy. The funds will hit your checking by end of business today. The scheduled transfer is canceled. Thank you, I said. I didn't explain. I didn't justify. I walked out into the bright 9 a.m. sun. It hit me in the face like a warm hand. I sat in my car and texted my boss that I'd be late. He wrote back, "Take the time you need." I drove to the new apartment complex. I signed the lease in the manager's little office with the fake plant and the bowl of peppermints. I handed over the cashier's check I had cut for first and last month's rent. I got 2 keys on a ring with a sunflower keychain. I took a picture of the blank living room and sent it to Maya with a lemon emoji. That afternoon, when school let out, I picked her up and we drove to Sunny Slope. The living room was empty and echoed when we laughed. We ate pizza on the floor. We put the lemon print curtains up with thumbtacks because the curtain rod was too long. We made up beds out of blankets. I put the yellow framed photo of Maya on the kitchen counter in the middle, where no one could forget it. We slept with the sliding door cracked to hear the pool murmuring 3 floors below. They started calling around 10 a.m., right about when the deposit hit my checking. First Mom, then Dad, then my sister, then Mom again. I watched my phone buzz on the counter of the empty new kitchen. I let it buzz. I turned the ringer volume down. By noon, I had 4 voicemails. Dorothy, Mom's voice clipped. Call me immediately. Another. You emptied the family account. The mortgage is due. Dad. This is petty. You're punishing everyone because you're jealous. My sister. Are you for real? This was for all of us. You are so dramatic. I made sandwiches and carried them to the floor where Maya was sitting with her sketchbook. She had drawn a lemon with tiny eyelashes. Are they mad? She asked. They're surprised, I said. They didn't think I would make my own decision. My sister texted, Mom says you need to transfer $3,000 now for the next 2 weeks while we sort this out. I replied, no. 2 minutes later. Why? I replied, because my money is off your accounts. I'm not your backup bank. 5 minutes later. Wow. I put my phone face down. At 3 p.m., there was a knock on the apartment door. I checked the peephole. Aunt Lonnie stood there holding a lasagna pan with a tea towel over it. I opened the door. She saw me and her mouth pressed together. She is the only person in my family who can frown and still look like she's hugging you. I know you said don't come by last night, she said, eyes wet. But today is different. I brought dinner. It's the one with the funny noodles you like. She set the pan on the counter. She glanced at the lemon curtains and the photo of Maya in the yellow frame. She didn't comment on the emptiness. She covered my hand with hers, warm. What your mother said yesterday was unkind, she said. It was also untrue. I know, I said. My throat went tight. I didn't cry. I made a move. I'm not going back. She nodded. Good. She looked at the phone, buzzing again. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Mom texted a photo of a shut-off notice for SRP with, look what happens when you act without thinking. The shut-off notice was from 3 months ago, a duplicate they kept on the fridge to guilt me into paying on time back then. I didn't engage. At 5 p.m., my sister called from a blocked number. I answered because I didn't know it was her. She started without hello. Tyler's camp is non-refundable, and we needed that cash. You are selfish. It's not my job to fund your kid's sports, I said. I won't fund a family my kid isn't part of. I said it slowly, like laying a brick. She scoffed. This is about you and your vendetta against Mom. You're letting Maya manipulate you. I decided to stop letting you manipulate me, I said. You and Mom. I can't believe you stole. I withdrew my money from a joint account I funded, I said. You can call your bank. You can call your coach. I'm off your accounts. She hung up. At 7 p.m., one of the little cousins, Hannah, texted Maya. Are you okay? That was messed up yesterday. Do you want to come over? Maya texted back. We moved. New pool. Hannah sent 50 heart emojis. The next day, Hannah came over with a bag of Sour Patch Kids and sat on the floor drawing with Maya. I told Grandma I didn't want to go to Cousin's Day anymore if it meant you couldn't come, she said, eyes wide, scared and brave. Mom didn't show up at our door. She wouldn't give me the ground like that. She keeps it on the phone where she can curate. She sent long texts about family duty and how much we have done for you. I typed and retyped and then deleted. When I did reply, I kept it simple. Maya and I won't be at events where she is treated as less. My money is not available for you to spend. I'm not your backup bank. You're off my accounts. I read it out loud before I hit send. It felt like folding a clean sheet. At work, my boss asked if I was okay. I said yes. He said, you look lighter. I laughed. I slept, I said. He nodded. Good. The next week, I got an email from State Farm about the policy on my parents' cars. Payment declined. I forwarded it to Mom and wrote, this seems like something you'll want to handle. No emoji. Simple. When they realized I wasn't going to fix it, the tone shifted. Mom sent a photo of Tyler in his uniform. Chin up. You're destroying opportunities, she wrote. Aunt Lonnie texted me a screenshot of the family group chat that she had been added to without me on it. Maya started at her new school the next week. On the first day, I took a picture of her on the balcony with her backpack. She had tucked the lemon card in the top pocket. She texted me a photo at lunch. A library with actual chairs and the word quiet painted in coral letters. They have robotics clubs, she wrote. I stood in the pharmacy supply room and smiled into a box of sterile syringes like a weirdo. On the last Sunday of the month, we started our own tradition, pizza and paper night. We ate slices on plates that didn't match. We spread papers on the floor. The lease, the school calendar, my budget printout, the latest 529 statement. I taught Maya how to read the line that showed the account increase. We had a rule. No one gets to be embarrassed for asking what something means. We made a list of questions we couldn't answer yet and taped it inside a notebook with lemons on the cover. We left 2 chairs at the little thrift store table we found for $25. Not because we thought Mom and Dad would come, because it made the room feel honest. It held space without sucking ours away. I put a little plant in the center, a baby lemon tree in a pot, because of course I did. Maya stuck her lemon tree card above the sink with 2 pieces of blue painter's tape. It stayed there. No one called it clutter. No one moved it for optics. On Halloween, Hannah came over with a witch hat and a bag of Twizzlers. We watched a movie on a sheet we hung on the wall. Maya laughed so hard she hiccuped. I took a picture of the back of her head in the witch hat and sent it to Aunt Lonnie. Lonnie responded with a photo of a lemon bar she had baked that looked exactly like something from a magazine and wrote, "For when you come on Sunday." At Christmas, we didn't go to my parents' house. We made tamales with a neighbor who showed us how to fold them. We put 2 extra plates on the counter under the yellow framed photo. I texted the address to Mom at noon. "You're welcome if you can be kind to Maya." She didn't come. Neither did Dad. The chair sat empty and didn't ruin anything. In January, Maya brought home a paper from school. Her drawing of our balcony hung in the hall with a tiny blue ribbon for honorable mention. She taped it next to her lemon tree card. "It's not a big deal," she said, shrugging, but her eyes were bright. We didn't lose it in the bottom of a drawer. We didn't find it weeks later under a pile of mail. They still send me things sometimes. Links to camps, hints about the AC, notes about what we did for you when you were 28. I don't argue with the past anymore. I don't try to rewrite my part in it. When they ask for money, I reply with the same line, like a password that opens exactly one door. "I'm not your backup bank. You're off my accounts." It's not mean. It's a boundary. The family 529 that my parents owned is now Tyler's. Good for him. I hope he uses it. I hope the grown-ups around him tell him he matters without taking something from someone else. That lesson isn't his to teach. The other 529, the one called Lemon Tree, keeps growing. I update it once a month. Show Maya the graph. We don't count on anyone else to do right by it. When she asks if she can go to art school or engineering or something I don't have a word for yet, I say, "Well, look, we have choices. We made them. I'm not a winner in this. I'm a mother." I adjust the chairs. I check the locks. I move the money I earn to where my kid is safe. I will not fund a family my kid isn't part of. I will build ours quietly with curtains that make her smile and a card with a lemon tree that never slides off the fridge into the trash.